Sentinels, welcome back. Another episode of Black Father Sentinel, where we are changing the narrative of how fathers are depicted as well as discussed in today's society. Now, I have a thought on my mind, and I thought it was noteworthy enough to talk about with you all. So I'm curious to see what the comments have to say about this topic. Now, let me walk you through two events that took place of how I arrived to this topic. So the first event, I'm watching a video. The video is by an artist named Joyner Lucas, and the video is entitled Just Like You. Now, in this video, he has a young man who's talking to his father, explaining to him some of the things that he sees in his father that he doesn't want instilled in him as he grows older into adulthood. So he goes on to say, I don't want to be a super thug. I don't want to get drunk and high every day. I don't want to be jobless. I don't want to be heartless. I don't want to run around on women and then claim that there's no good women out here. Now, also in the video, there's a female, and she's talking to her mother, basically explaining the same thing to her. So she says, I don't want to be hopeless. I don't want to be a single mom. I don't want to be uneducated. I don't want to be messy and spreading rumors. And I don't want to be chasing guys. So it's like a 2 to 3 minute video, I can't remember. But after I watched the video, I just remember just thinking to myself, like, wow, that was amazing. And then I'm thinking, like, you know, how do my kids feel towards me, right? I don't know, fathers, have you ever thought about that before? Because a lot of times, you know, there's no manual, there's no father in the house for us, right? So we have to kind of like figure it out on our own. We have like male influences involved, but it's totally different when there's a male actually in the house day to day that can show you how to walk, talk, how your posture is supposed to be, how to handle different situations. So it's totally different. So it just brought to my conscious, like, you know, how do my kids perceive me? Now, event number 2, it's a little bit different, but this one touched me the same. I was actually at a graduation party. It was me and my cousin, and then we invited a friend of ours. So the friend gets to the bar. We're at an actual bar, so it's a graduation party at a bar. The friend gets there, and so I decided to order around for all of us, right? Not even thinking that our friend, he doesn't even drink at all. I don't know why I did it. It's just me trying to make sure that everybody was taken care of. So anyway, after he declines the drink, I asked him. So I finally asked him. This is years later of him not drinking. I said, listen, man, I never see you drink at all. Why don't you drink? And his answer was very simple, yet so profound. He said, I've never seen it in my house. And when he told me that, I just was taken back. Like, you know, that makes so much sense. Like, he'd never seen alcohol be used as a way to party. Alcohol to be used as a stress reliever. Alcohol to be used as a coping mechanism. So he never chose to drink because he never saw it in his house at all. And so those two events took place, and it led me to this thought. What legacy am I leaving to my children? Now, fathers, I don't know if you thought about this, but I think about this quite often. More as of now than prior, right? One of the things that we have to realize, Father, is that our time here is not like infinite, right? We have to expire. So all we have is that dash in between our born year and the year that we pass away or expire. So it's up to us to define that dash, right? Now, I didn't make this video to point blame, like saying that you're doing something wrong, nothing like that. I made this video simply for you to be conscious now that it's out in front of you of what you're doing now, because it's not too late. I'm an advocate for that. As long as you wake up in the morning, you can breathe, you have all your faculties, right? You have common sense, you can make a change, okay? And so what it looks like for me, and again, I'm a work in progress. What you see before you has taken some time to actually get there. There's some things in my past that I'm not proud of as it relates to things that I presented in front of my children, right? I'm not proud of that, but I'm making a change, and I'm doing it for the right reasons, right? I just want to be the best person that I can be, not only for myself, not only for life in general, right? but also for my children. I just want to spread that good energy. That's just who I want to be, right? And so here's a breakdown for me. I began to develop healthy habits. Now, I know when you think of the word habit, it sometimes has a negative kind of tone to it, right? We always think of bad habits. You got a habit of doing this, you got a habit of doing that. But healthy habits, right? So some of the healthy habits that I've been creating as it relates to my children is just teaching them certain things, teaching them values that I want them to have growing up. Because I always thinking about it, when I'm dead and gone, they have to have something to draw back on, right? So fathers, you remember growing up in the house without a father. It's some situations that you got into at adulthood that you had no past experiences to draw from. So you just had to come up on a whim and decide what to do in that specific time, right? I don't want that for my children. And you shouldn't want that for your children at all, as well. Now, I'm not saying we can cover everything in their life, right? But we got to give them some type of a benchmark, somewhere to start, right? So if we're putting good in them, then they know to draw back, just go good, right? So a couple things, and there's more, but for the sake of this video and the sake of time, I'll just discuss these few things that I've been working on with my children. And it's on a day-to-day basis, okay? So I teach my kids, and those, you know, if you watch the past videos, I always talk about thought before emotion. And what that means is, before you get emotional about any situation that you're going through, put some thought into it. Because I know a lot of times, and I'll say 95% of the time, if you go emotion first, you're going to make an irrational decision, right? You're going to make a decision that you quite naturally wouldn't make had you just taken the time just to think it all the way through. Now, I do this when they're going through hardships, when they're at like a high moment, we always talk it out. Because again, emotions, they just alter you in a different way. Sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. Most of the time we see it for the bad, right? Another thing that I do with my children is just effective communication, civil discourse. What I've noticed out here, that a lot of these children, they just don't know how to speak, right? So what happens when they don't know how to speak? That's where the aggression come in. Have you ever seen that in play? Have you ever saw a child that they can't talk, right? Probably because they haven't been communicated with in an effective manner from either either their father or their mother. So they just get aggressive. They're ready to fight, right? They're good at that. I can't talk, but I know how to fight. A lot of times that's why we see these things happening on the news, and we see them in day-to-day life every day, right? Because people don't know how to effectively communicate. And it's really just that simple. A lot of these things can be avoided or prevented if we just simply knew how to communicate with each other. So I teach my kids, even when they're mad, how to communicate. I know it's going to sound cliche, but how to use their words. Just talk it out. And once they calm down and they're able to talk to me, and even if I don't understand clearly what they're trying to express to me, I help them with their expression of their words. So I'm working on that with my children, as well as just doing it myself. I get into a lot of situations where I know I can articulate my thoughts, but I'm talking to a person and I probably don't even have any business talking to this person, but they can't relay the message to me in a fashion to which I can understand, right? You keep using all these words that I don't even know, and I'm not even talking about big words. It's just you're so emotional because you don't have the words to draw from your vocabulary that you just immediately get aggressive. And I'm still calm over here because I know how to talk, right? I have different words in my arsenal in terms that I can use in conversation, but you just don't have it, so you want to get aggressive. It's just no point for that. I don't see the point for that. So I teach my kids how to effectively communicate, all right? Another thing that, I'm working on with myself is just health, right? Just health. Watching the intake, watching what I put in my body. Now, I'm not telling you all to go out there and jump to being a vegan or whatever the case might be. I'm just asking you to be mindful of what you're putting into your body. I don't think that we should just self-inflict toxicity in our body. Like, we shouldn't just be doing that. Now, listen, I'm not judging anybody. Those of you who know me, I done did it all, right? Well, I done did everything, but I did some things, right? So I'm not judging you at this point. Again, I'm a work in progress. I just want to be the best or at the optimal level that I can be. So I'm just mindful of the things that I put in my body, okay? Also, along the lines of that is just working out. Like I work out. To me, it's therapeutic, as well as these videos, as well as it's a way for me to relieve like stress and tension. Okay, we all know like some days are easier than others in terms of just living. Like, just to be honest with you, sometimes things just don't go our way at all, and we have the perfect plan for it, but it just doesn't go our way. So instead of me coping in a toxic fashion, like going out or partying or drinking and smoking, I just choose to go to the gym. I set up a gym in my house and I just work out and I just think. That's just what works for me. I'm not saying that that's going to work for you, fathers, but I'm just giving you some examples of what I do, right? I'm just trying to change the legacy that I've left for my children in the past to this new legacy that I'm creating now, right? And then lastly, just teaching my kids consistency, right? Discipline. Now, we explained discipline before. It's doing what you have to do when you have to do it, even when you don't feel like. We know a lot of times when raising these children, we don't feel like doing a lot of things, but we have to be consistent. We had these children, so it's up to us to raise them. And it's really that simple. Like, we no longer get that extra free time to go kick it and party because we have responsibilities, right? These kids are not going to raise themselves. And we're seeing examples of kids raising themselves and the outcome of that. So we definitely have to change and step up to the plate and be better, because that outcome, we're just not looking good. And I explained that in the previous video, right? So fathers, I again challenge you. What legacy are you leaving for your children? Like, what are you presenting in front of them? Is it going to be a legacy that your son grows up and say, I want to be just like my dad? Is it going to be a legacy in which your daughter grows up and say, I want a man just like my father? It's just something to think about. I know we think we have all the time in the world, but we just don't, fathers. Like, we don't. This time is short. As you can see, you probably have family members that's passing away, both young and old. Tomorrow's not promised to us. All we have is this present moment, and it's up to us to make the best of it. So again, what legacy are we leaving to our children? Black Father Center.